Ancient revivals are a part of the modern gaming landscape more than you'd think. It seems like old franchises are being reborn all the time these days. One such series is Pang, which saw life in arcades all the way back in 1989. It was originally produced by Mitchell in Japan and Europe, and published in North America by Capcom, with several sequels produced in the decades to follow. As a puzzle-oriented shooter, it has a decent following, though its many other monikers like Buster Brothers and Pomping World may make Pang as a name fairly unfamiliar to some.
Its latest iteration, Pang Adventures, was developed by Pastagames and released to the iOS and Android mobile platforms, as well as the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and Steam in 2016. Pang Adventures follows the Pang brothers' journey as they fight off the balloonish bouncing attack balls launched by an invading alien menace. Is it worth your time? How does it tick? Let's take a closer look.
Pang Adventures sports a total of 3 game modes, but only Tour mode is accessible from the start. Clearing the Tour mode unlocks the more traditional Score mode, and the Panic mode opens up fairly easily as well. Its stages have a widely varied and challenging set of objectives, with each one requiring a different strategy to complete. It's very clear that this is just as much a puzzle game as it is a shooter.
Like the original games, the objective in Pang Adventures is to shoot at and pop all of the attack balls on the screen within a specified time limit. Players move left and right in typical fixed shooter style, just like in games such as Space Invaders and Galaga. With the exception of the triangle button, which restarts the level if things aren't going so well, every other button shoots the player's basic weapon, called the Sting. Only one shot can be fired at a time until it disappears or makes contact with a ball or hazard.
As the alien attack balls are hit, they will split in half while being forced away from the player. The largest balls result in a total of 15 as they all split into smaller and smaller parts. Both a direct hit and a lateral collision counts when attacking these balls. So strategically firing a shot so as to have the balls collide with the Sting's line is a good strategy in certain stages. There are also a wide variety of power-ups, like a double Sting, machine guns, 6 shooters, flamethrowers, and more. Some have limited ammo though, so care might be needed to keep from getting beamed when players suddenly find themselves with just a basic Sting in a hard spot.
There are 4 different sizes of balls in all. The color and design of a given ball also determines their behavior. Red ones bounce while blue ones drift. Some have shielding while others are charged, which will send a jolt of electricity down the player's line. There are even explosives triggered directly on impact or timed, which can inflict damage on other surrounding balls. Some even have smoke screens and lava hazards in them.
Other hazards also exist in the form of animals. Birds will drop eggs on players from above, which creates a green sludge that slows movement or stunts the player with a direct impact. Hermit crabs also employ death from above tactics to daze a player, which can easily result in a KO from an errant ball. Thankfully, if it isn't a ball, it doesn't necessarily need to be taken out, especially since they aren't worth anything in terms of score. Some stages also have light platforming elements to them as well, while others have barriers that allow players to pass but not balls, and balls to pass but not players. It's no wonder the original Pang games made their way to the PSP's Capcom Puzzle World collection.
There is quite a bit of gameplay to Pang Adventures' main tour mode. With a total of 6 main areas, each with 15 sub-stages and 6 boss battles to endure, there's definitely plenty to do. A second player can jump in at any time, and every stage has both a single play and multiplayer clear indicator. In multiplayer, if a player is knocked down, the remaining player can revive the fallen one, so long as they can get to them in time. While players only have a single life to see any one of the 15 sub-stages to the end, players can retry any number of times to get the job done and continue on.
The boss encounters are pretty challenging and require a good amount of dodging skill and timing, but all of the bosses were eventually able to be overcome by us in a decent amount of time. By extension, the score mode also has a wealth of extra gameplay too, but requires a bit more dedication to see it all through to the end, since the player has a life stock rather than infinite retries on each part. Thankfully, extends can be obtained to keep the good times rolling.
Finally, there is the 99 level Panic mode, which has players try to score as high as possible until they lose their whole life stock or complete the stage set. This mode can go on for a long time and increases in difficulty as the game's level goes increasingly higher. Thanks to its online ranking system, Panic mode will surely have score chasers coming back for more. An online ranking system also applies to the score mode as well, so going for that incredibly long 1 credit clear is a challenge that is both difficult and rewarding.
Pang Adventures is a simple but fun distraction that plays well enough. Dave found that there was an odd delay between expendable weapons and the Sting, but I didn't really feel that. With its huge wealth of stages and decent scoring modes, there's a great amount of content here, and since local co-op can be started at any time in any mode simply by pressing the cross button, Pang Adventures is extremely approachable and, thanks to the revival system, new players can make progress with the help of veterans. Very nice. The scoring in Pang Adventures is pretty straightforward. Popping all of the balls on screen will make for a huge amount of pointage. As they are popped, a small combo gauge on the player's designated side of the screen will fill, and the point value will climb for each ball popped. If a shot misses, this combo will break and the point value will drop. Straightforward.
All kinds of collectible items will also be dropped, which can add a ton of extra pointage. Various points are also associated with different items, but collecting them all is a surefire way to get a good amount of extra points. Items can also be shot to be collected. Another neat scoring method is using animals like crabs to burst balls rather than shooting them. They will net the player a guaranteed 5,000 points each time it happens.
There are also other methods to scoring in Pang Adventures as well. Defendable objects can appear which sometimes have timers. Defending these through a stage or the allotted time will result in bonuses. Every now and then, a fairy will dash across the screen. Hitting these fairies will net a player a smooth 100,000 points. In the case of score in panic mode, if a player reaches the extend score with a full life stock of 3, a 50,000 point bonus is applied as well.
At stage end, the level score is paired up with a time bonus and a no misfire bonus to make up the stage total. The no misfire bonus is awarded if a player hits a ball with every single shot fired. In multiplayer, a protector score is also added if a player revives their buddy. In tour mode, this makes up the stage score for every area and round in the game. In score mode, these bonuses just add to the total score. Panic mode has no game end score though.
Each stage in Pang Adventures has a target score in tour mode, which will be checked off if the player reaches the specified amount. This adds a bunch of replay value for completionists looking to squeeze as much as they can out of Pang Adventures. The online leaderboards are also a great incentive for players to perfect their scoring technique. Pang Adventures has a presentation that comes off as pretty good at a quick glance. In terms of visuals and sound, Pang Adventures is pretty clean. Let's take a closer look.
In terms of Pang Adventures graphics, everything is clean and fluid. There's never any hint of slowdown, even when a ton of stuff is being flung around at high speeds with various effects filling the screen. As a game that was also made for mobile platforms, you can definitely tell the elements here were designed with iOS and Android in mind. There's a lot of rotation and tweening in the animation, though the run cycle is decently drawn. The new character designs are also pretty great.
The backgrounds in Pang Adventures are pretty nifty, with sharp, detailed landscapes representing the areas that the Pang brothers are visiting on their quest to defeat the alien Scourge. In the case of the boss battles, the side-scrolling environments have a huge amount of parallax and some really cool atmospheric effects later in the game. Pretty sweet.
In terms of sound, Pang Adventures is pretty much par for the course when it comes to a Western-developed game such as this. The voice samples are clear and well delivered, the weaponry sounds great, and little touches like the Pang brothers yelling out with the recoil of the machine guns is pretty funny. It reminds us of Cyril Figgis from Archer in a lot of ways. The fairy though? Yeah.
For the most part, Pang Adventures music is also pretty catchy. A lot of the tunes have that typical alien theremin-style tone to them that let you know that you're up against an otherworldly force, especially during the boss encounters. I kinda don't like the theremin tone, but it works.
Rounding out the presentation is a super clean, bright UI that's more than easy to navigate. Trophy support also exists. Nice touch. So, how does Pang Adventures stack up? Let's take a look.
Pang Adventures controls just like you'd expect it to. Not much has changed since 1989.
The old feeling controls means that there will be times that they're a little too stiff to avoid fast, dense opposition.
Pang Adventures definitely had its challenging moments, but on the whole, it was easier than we expected.
The score and panic modes are definitely going to be the ones veterans will want to chew into.
With a total of 96 stages in tour mode doubled up in score and the panic mode's 99 level score attack, Pang Adventures actually has a lot of game to play.
But a lot of these stages are going to feel pretty short and skilled players will be able to breeze through them.
Clean and bright, Pang Adventures has a good amount of charm in its visuals.
The overall design feels a little too mobile for PS4 though, and the tween animation clash with actual frame-based stuff. Still pretty great though.
Pang Adventures OST is nice and catchy for the most part. Some of the music is a bit heavy on the theremin though.
Meanwhile, the VO and sound effects match the game extremely well. Well, except that dumb-sounding fairy.
Pang Adventures is fun, no doubt about it, but there is kind of a lack of ingenuity here. It plays just like the games of Pang's past, though that's not exactly a bad thing.
The addition of drop-in co-op and buddy revival is still pretty cool.
On the PSN store, you can get Pang Adventures for just $10. On mobile, it's even cheaper.
As As such, Pang Adventure's value is pretty high, especially for fans of the obscure yet venerable series.
Pang Adventures was definitely a good game in the end. For a tenner, you can definitely do worse, and we had quite a bit of fun with the co-op alone. In the end, Pang Adventures gets a solid 4 out of 5. You can get Pang Adventures on PSN, Xbox Marketplace, Steam, and on iOS and Android for $10 or less. How did I know you were going to have trouble talking about balls this time around?
My mind has deeper gutters than a bowling alley.
Ahaha, gutter balls. On another note, the official alternate tracks for Ghostblade HD are now available for purchase on Bandcamp.com. Link in the description below. And of course, all proceeds go directly back into production. We all win.